Father, forgive them.
Welcome to Jesus and Jones. I am your host, Annan Jones. With me is my guest and co-host for the day, Thomas Kiser. He is he's about to be in his senior year at UAB, finishing up his degree in information systems, and he is also a system admin. At ServisFirst Bank. So thankful and grateful for him to be on the podcast today, even though he is usually required to be on the podcast. But we're going through a transitionary period. You'll see Thomas in the next few episodes, but we're both just stepping into new seasons of life. And so it's going to look a little bit different. We honestly might not record, or I might not record in the next couple of months, but we have a lot coming out pretty soon. So periodically we do. So we'll make sure and schedule and pace that out accordingly. But Thomas, thank you so much for being on the podcast, man.
Yeah, I'd love to say thank you for having me, but I'm here every 2 weeks, so I'm honored, man. I'm honored to have been a part of this thing. I'm honored to come on as a guest and even have my own episode. So yeah, I'm grateful to be here still, regardless. So
yeah, of course. Just so the people know, why are you taking a step back?
So coming into this podcast, I did not know, I'm sure Andy didn't know either, how well it was actually going to be, how successful, how much people would talk about it, how many people would watch it, how many guests this guy would be able to line up, where we had to turn a couple of people away like once or twice, just because there's such a volume of people trying to get in right now, and then trying to fill in a episode of mine and Annan's schedule. So I had no idea it would go this well. So all glory to God, man. This podcast has blessing on it for sure. But just stepping back, because with my current job, I'm basically working like a grown adult, RIP. But I have that, and then taking this on over the summer was fine because I wasn't doing classes at UAB. So just enjoyed having this to work towards. And now I'm moving back into starting up at UAB senior year. So got to finish that up strong. So just going to be taking a step off this, and, this is Anna's dream, man. So I'm excited to watch your podcast grow, brother.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. What has been your journey throughout college these past 4 years, or even more than that? Like, what has that been like for you? And would you recommend it, just the way you did pacing? Because, you did full time for a minute and then kind of stepped back and went at it your own pace.
So that's very interesting, because I feel like I'm a bit of an outlier there. So first off, for any students watching this, if you don't know what you're going to go to a community college and do your 2 years and just get the basics. And then if you still don't know, then maybe go to a 4-year, do general studies or wait or something. Go do that first. Don't go to a 4-year right off the bat. They just rob you blind. But anyway, so starting at UAB, man, I was going into Premed, and I wanted to be a neurosurgeon, and I wanted to do that all coming up through high school, because clearly I guess I didn't know how intelligent and talented you have to be able to do that. So I thought I was going to be capable of that. So coming up, went into Premed, man, and it was full on site, in classes every day, all in person. I'd maybe have 1 or 2 that were online, but they'd only be offered online, something like that.
Gotcha.
But basically full-time student on campus. I was doing marching band at the time. So I was getting that on-campus experience. So that was starting out, and then really just those classes kicked my butt. No better way to say it. They killed me. And coming through, I want to say it was really spring semester, sophomore year. I did my entire freshman year pre-med. I was like, I need to make a change. So coming out of spring freshman year, going into the first semester as a sophomore, I was like, I need to do something different. This is not working for me. I thought I wanted to do this. I'm not made for this. I just knew that this was not, my professional calling, if you will. Basically I didn't know what to do. I just knew I wanted to do something different. Started talking to my dad, started talking to other people. And, my dad could see his similar skill set in me of working well on a team. And I've always been good with computers growing up. He actually helped me build my first computer, like my freshman year of college or whatever. So I've been doing that. And I had a talent for that. So he was like, well, why don't you do what I did? Don't go straight into computer science and get way off in the deep end, but switch over to the School of Business and try doing information systems, which is computer science, but it's just in the School of Business. So you're taking business classes, and the sciencey part is not as sciencey. It sounds kind of crude, but that's the way it is. Yeah. So started doing that, and immediately school was completely different in how it felt, how I felt about it, how I saw it, treated it. Instead of like a prison, something I just had to do, it felt like opportunity. Yeah. So, man, I loved learning all that new stuff about business that I was doing. And then, to be honest, though, I wasn't learning a ton about information systems. Starting out, I was a sophomore, basically at a freshman level in the School of Business. So I had to take all the prerequisites and stuff. So really just not learning that much about it, and just continued through that. And we'll get to my work in a second, because there's a little bit of a story to how that started. But yeah, so now I'm still information systems. I'm about to graduate next summer. So I'm a senior now, got to do 2 more semesters, wrap it up with a bow, and we'll be good. We'll be good. And I'll have my bachelor's in information systems.
Congratulations, Russ. That's a big deal. And I remember how rough it was for you doing all that. Like, how much time did that free up once you made the change? Oh man,
a ton. I remember my freshman year, dude. I legit was going to a biology lab from 5:40. I think it was a weird time, from 5:40. No, 6:30. Okay, 6:30 to 9:30. So it was 3 hours in a biology lab, and it started at 6:30 p.m. So I wouldn't get done until 9:30 p.m. And that was after the classes I had during the day. So I'd have like 2 or 3 that day, and then, fit lunch and dinner in between those. And then I have my bio lab at night. And yeah, man, my friends they never believed me when I first told them that. It was like a Tuesday night or something. I'd be like, yeah, I'm heading to lab. And I'm like, dude, it's 6 o'clock. Where are you going? I was like, I got my bio lab from 6:30 to 9.
Golly.
So that was just one of the things, but it freed up so much time, man. I mean, no disrespect to anybody that's in business classes, because I am too. It's just the strain is a lot less. Honestly, it's just easier. You got more room to breathe. You have more time. The classes are less like textbook driven, more about on-hands application. And yeah, man, just completely different. Felt like switching schools. I mean, really.
Wow.
Completely different people, different professors, just extremely different. And yeah, really grateful I switched over, man. Really glad.
No, it's a blessing. Is that when you started doing the small group, really, like on your own, or?
Yeah, that was about the same time.
The accountability small group.
Accountability.
So I want to make sure reiterate that.
That was really about the same time. My dad got me plugged in to accountability my freshman year. Somehow convinced me to start going. Because thinking about who I was then, that sounds like a nightmare. But he convinced me to start going, and I attended for about a year. And then coming up sophomore year, really early into junior year, or late sophomore year, is when I started leading it. So that was after I had been in information systems for a while. So yeah, about the same time I started leading group. So started to make those connections, meet those people. So
how important has it been for your dad to be like a blueprint for the men that you're trying to grow into? Not exactly the same, of course, but a good blueprint, like a good foundation for what you want to be and who you aspire to be.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's hard to talk about this because he's an incredible blueprint for me. He's always been a great example for me, and setting the expectations of what you're supposed to meet as a man. So when I wanted to do pre-med, he was going to love and support me all the way. And he just kind of knew in the back of his mind that, that wasn't going to follow all the way through. I think he knew that. But just being able to go to him and see what he's done, and him be able to point out and say, hey, I think you'd be good at this too. I think, you should consider going down the same path. So having that and seeing what he does now, continue to work a job in that field. And he's led an accountability group for the past 3 years. So me also stepping into that and him encouraging me to do so, it means a lot. It's super valuable to have a blueprint like that. And it's always hard to talk about because I know so many people, my friends, people I go to church with, people I go to school with. I just feel like 60 to 70% of other guys that I talk to, they can't look at their dad like that, not exactly in the way that I do. So it's I'm so grateful and so blessed to have it. But in that way, I'm never going to understand. I'm never going to understand that pain that some people have with, the relationship with their fathers and trying to find something to attach to, like I did. As you want to use the word blueprint, I just copy and pasted that in some ways, and in some ways I found myself doing my own thing. And a lot of guys don't have that and crave that. So yeah, it's such a blessing, man. It truly is.
I love man. No, and that was kind of something I threw on you, but I was like, this is gonna be a good question to ask.
It's a good one.
Of course, felt led to ask it, but no, I definitely say, and because your story and my story are very similar. Yes. Not, of course, not the same. We're not the same person. Definitely raised in totally different, environments.
Yeah.
But we had the same kind of thing of we had a very spiritual dad, very loving dad, but just wasn't always around because we lived at our mom's house and we had a stepdad and other people, that we relied on until we both grew up and were whether we like it or not, whether we're going to fight back on it or not, we need our dad in our life.
Yeah.
And it's just been so cool because you're exactly what you said, right? We're blessed to even have fathers and that in our lives, but it's definitely been an ongoing story of involvement and closeness to them. And of course, which is a blessing. It's all God, but just to see how that also translates to our faith and our relationship with Jesus and the Father, really of course, Holy Spirit. So it's just really cool. But I just wanted to make sure and anybody that's out there, whether you have that kind of story or not, whether you have a totally different story, God wants to make a difference in you and for you, so you can not only help yourself but help other people in return. Because Thomas and both of our stories have definitely shown that. And we're talking about I'm about to be in ministry school, and there's things that
I know
I shouldn't be doing as someone that's going to be in ministry school, and having to work on myself and get accountability. And even though I don't want to tell people things that I've been doing, still tell them. So it's an ongoing thing, and just even trying to be more consistent with my father is something I'm trying to work on. And I'm about to be the busiest I've ever been, so it's definitely a struggle, but it's worth fighting for. I'll say that it's definitely worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
Man, Thomas, I know we mentioned your job, and I want to go back into your past and how you came to faith. But just before we do that, what do you do? What does your job entail at ServisFirst Bank?
Yeah. So there's no way to really say it without nerding out a little bit, but I'll keep it a little surface level because, I work at a bank. I touch nothing bank related at all. I always tell people that. And I have to include IT at the end because if I don't, they'll assume that I'm really good with finance.
Right.
I'm not bad with finance. I will say that, but they just assume that I know a lot about finance and or banking, and I don't. That's just not true. I hardly interact with anything banking related throughout every single day there. So a bit of what I do is I'm on their IT team. So I'm the middle rank basically in terms of hierarchy there and what people do. So you have your level one guys that are always on the phone and trying to help people that work at the bank. They're having problems with their computer or someone's trying to reach a credit card system and it's not working. You got those
Gotcha.
guys, and then you have the level 3s, the engineers that are working on projects, creating new stuff, and just laying the framework for everything. And then you have level 2, which are the admins, and that's right where I am. So I work back and forth between these guys. So it really just ranges. If there's a lot of calls coming in, people having problems, I'm on the phones, I'm trying to help people. Or if, they've got a project coming up that they need someone who works with servers, which is what I do, then I'll be working with the engineering team. So, and go back and forth, really in between those two. But I work with computers, helping people that work at a bank, like users, and I work on servers. So in a nutshell, somewhere in that, there's bullet points, but it's pretty nerdy, very nerdy job.
No, I like that. And you're very in depth. So that means a lot if I can get some insight from that. And a lot of people too, just because you would think, and I know people get pissed off at their banks, like there's always something like, bro, there's nobody. And it's like, there really is a lot going on.
It's a lot, man.
You wouldn't realize how much stuff is behind the scenes with everything, of course. But that's cool to know. How'd you get this opportunity to get that job?
So coming up into this, I just switched over to information systems. I was in my second semester there, and I started wanting to find an internship somewhere to get some experience and just to tell anybody else out there who's pursuing a similar path, and this is just anything with almost any field at all, but especially business and especially information systems. You're not going to get that experience you need in school. You're going to get some knowledge here and there, but you're really getting the degree so you can qualify for a job. You're not going to get that experience that you need. So I was looking for an internship second semester in at the business school, and just started applying and looking at stuff and just kind of on the hunt for an internship. So in the meantime, I still got my accountability group going on every week, every Wednesday night. And we get this new guy that comes through Church of the Highlands, joins the group via the directory, got plugged in, and his name is Cole. And he works at ServisFirst with me, and he worked there before me. He's been there about 3.5 years now. So, excuse me. So met Cole through the group. We got to know each other really well. And then I think within a couple months of him coming, I think that's about how long it was. He came inside. He came in the house after one night we were having a group, and I was talking to my dad, and he was right there, and talking about looking for an internship opportunities. And Cole heard me, and he was like, "Hey, man, you look for an internship for real?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, because he knew that I was in information systems, so I was pursuing an IT job. And he's like, "Well, my boss has been looking for a guy to intern directly under him, or one of the guys he works with." And he was like, "So if, I know you pretty well at this point. Why don't I talk to him about it and see, if they are still looking?" And I was like, "That'd be great." So he goes and does that. And then he's like, "Yeah, they're trying to get an intern. I told my guy about you, and he wants to get an interview." And I was like, "What?" I sent you my high school resume that I updated slightly with college information. I was like, "There's no way this guy wants to interview, this was a real internship." I was expecting to get an internship on campus or something, doing desk support for UAB or something. So I was blown away immediately. But I came in, I did the interview. It was a guy named Nathan, and the interview just went so well, man, so well. And it was after the interview, he started showing me around the building, and you don't do that unless the interview's gone well. So he showed me around the building. Right. I drove home. On the way home, he calls me and he's like, "Hey, listen, we want to have you on. We want to get you started interning here." And I was just unbelievable, man. So that's how I got started there. I worked as an intern from February 24 to December 24. And then December, I got hired on full time. And I've been full time there from December 2024 to now. So still full time there, still loving it. It's a great job. So thankful to God. Just it's insane, man. I should have never even been able to get started there. And through my accountability group, God brought me a job. God brought me a future career there. So grateful to God, grateful to Cole for recommending me, and he's just been a brother in Christ for me since then. Like still, me and him are like that to this day. So, and grateful for Nathan for giving me a chance. And I still talk to him. He's not at the bank currently, but I still talk to him. So it's just been great, man.
Definitely listen to the episode of both of them. Shout out Cole and Nathan.
That'd be good, man. That'd be good.
Why UAB?
There's not like a super, I wish there was like a cool answer there. Not really. My stepmom is a pediatrician at UAB. So she works with children as well. But basically UAB has this policy where if you were a close family member, it's not like your cousin or whatever, but if an immediate family member works at UAB, you get half off tuition because they want you to continue to go to UAB like they did and work there. So, it was going back to what I was telling the listeners earlier about go to community college. I would have done that, but I had half off tuition going to UAB. So the 4-year right off the bat actually made sense for me. So even though I wasted an entire year doing pre-med, it still was probably less money than I would have spent at a community college, I think, just with it being half off. So that's the main reason I went there. And it just happened to be a great school to get pre-med, which is what I wanted to do when I was looking at university. So
100%.
Because you can go to school there, graduate, go to med school there. It would have been all in-house basically. So yeah.
And thank the Lord they have a up and coming and very like ambitious business school.
Yes.
Because you might have been thinking about something else.
There, man. I would have had to go somewhere else probably. But thankfully they've been really developing that hard. So shout out whoever's in charge of School of Business at UAB.
Culver House. I was about to say Culver House. That's not it. Yeah. That's not it, bro.
They've been bringing it up, man. It's a good one now. Like
what's the name of it? I literally forgot. I was thinking about
School of Business.
That's why it was CNC. It was throwing me off.
Yeah.
Collat.
Yeah.
That's right. Shout out Collat.
School of
Business, bro.
It's not a bad choice.
No, not at all. Man. So I guess, I feel like that covers college and education a little bit. Just so we can kind of take a detour. What was early life for you like in growing up?
Very interesting situation. If anyone has seen my episode with my dad, you have some background there. But coming up through, man, really getting started when I was 4 years old, I think. My parents got divorced and they, obviously stayed divorced. So I grew up a divorced kid. That's how I remember all my childhood, basically. So I grew up as a product of divorce, back and forth between households all my life. Thankfully, my dad, stayed around. He was only in Birmingham growing up. And so that was, not too bad. And if you could go back and watch the episode of he did a lot to stay in my life. So
he really tried.
He did. And having that really helped me get through it. I'm so grateful that I got to have a relationship with both my parents because a lot of people don't get that growing up. And also grateful to God because he gave me a good stepmom and a good stepdad. So I never had to worry about rough relationships with them. It just became two families for me. And growing up with that was a challenge, but it developed me, gave me character. And then I have a brother who has special needs. My older brother's 3 years older than me. So growing up with him as well, both of those really just, if you asked me right now, what are the two things that made me who I am? It's going to be a byproduct of divorce and then my brother. So leading up, foundationally outside of God exactly, although he's orchestrating all this outside of him directly, this is what made me who I am, growing up with these two things. So if you want to know about me, that's what got me here. But that was childhood, bouncing in and out between those. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. Any Highlands goers, Mark Pettis, same hometown, baby. Shout out Lineville, Alabama, Ashland, Alabama. They're all in the same little pocket of nowhere. So that's where I was most of my time. I lived there with my mom. I went to high school there, public school, with a bunch of rednecks. So I'm a redneck. I try not to show it, but I'm a redneck. And I went to school there, and then came up when I was going to get ready to graduate and go to college. Came up to Birmingham where my dad is. Went to UAB, moved in here, and been here ever since. Now I work here. So, but that's childhood for me. It's just going back and forth, and I was doing marching band in high school. I'm just trying to think of what else, that entails. But yeah, basically just moving back and forth and learning how to deal with that. Spent my whole life learning how to deal with that.
Yeah. Was band an escape sometimes, or like or for a family away from home?
It became that eventually, more of an escape. It might have started as that, and it could have been. I just don't know. That could be subconsciously.
Yeah.
It really just became an opportunity for me to better myself. I played football growing up, like I did Little League football. Like a kid should not be playing football that young. I was in pads and everything. So I did football growing up, and did that.
I don't know. I got varied opinion, but
yeah, some people have varied opinions.
Okay.
Okay, so differently though, for me, I was tiny, man. Tiny.
Oh, you were very undersized. Yeah.
Horribly undersized. So for me, I should not have been playing football.
Yeah.
And,
no, 100%.
So I played football all the way up till junior high, which middle school, whatever. And after that, I started realizing that I was A, bad at it, A, physically disadvantaged. And then C, I just didn't like it at that point because I'd spent so long trying to get good at it, was not good at it, and just was never going to be athletic, in the time frame I wanted, I guess. Praise God. But so started looking at other stuff, and I'd always wanted to play drums. So my parents bought me a drum set, and then a year later, I joined marching band. Really like right before freshman year of high school, started doing that and just loved it, fell in love with it. And God gave me the hands for it. So I was getting good at it. And it might have been an escape through the early years, but it just became an opportunity to better myself at something. And then later in high school, I took on a leadership role, really did that for the last couple of years of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Then went to UAB, did it another year, or did it 2 years. And then my third year that I just finished up, I stepped into leadership there, was the leader of the Drumline for that year. And I don't do it anymore, but yeah, it's definitely been a part of my life for sure. And I've loved it. So
that's amazing, bro. Just because I want to go into this a little bit too. You've had a lot of, I wouldn't say jobs, but you've had a lot of different opportunities to do things in your life. One including is the doing a radio show.
Yep.
So I know about that. The viewers, of course, most viewers don't know. So there might be some that know that remember that about your life, or if they know you. But do you want to go into that a little bit? I know sure. I was on one. When recording. But
Brandon was on a radio show, and that's all. There's a whole story.
That was a wild day.
That was a wild day, bro. Whole story to that. Back in my hometown, man. The guy that owned the radio station, and this was a new radio station, and in a small town, radio stations are a big deal. That's like your news, and your weekly entertainment.
Even now.
Yeah, even now, low key, even now. So it was a big deal. There's a guy, his name's Kevin Moon. And this was my first job, by the way. Never had a real job before this. I just got in my car too. So this was my first step into somewhat adulthood. But this guy named Kevin Moon, he went to my dad's youth group on and off as when my dad was a youth group minister growing up in that same town, like when I was growing up there. So my dad did that till my parents got divorced. And they did that before I was actually born. So they've been doing that a while. So he went to that youth group. And then later in years when, he got older, he wanted to start up his own radio station there. So he did. And it was him and a couple other people at that time. And they didn't have anybody that was super tech savvy. And I was pretty tech savvy coming up. So my dad knew I needed a job. And this just credit to my dad, was trying to set me up for the future with what resources I had in Clay County, Alabama. And he didn't want me working at Piggly Wiggly or McDonald's or like everyone else at that time who was my age, because there's there's nowhere for a kid to work around there other than places like that.
There's not much you can go up from there, really.
Yeah, we don't got the Chick-fil-A for all the high schoolers to go to. We got a McDonald's.
That's it.
Everybody goes to Piggly Wiggly to get their first job, like as a grocery bagger or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, he wanted to set me up right. So when he saw that he was doing that, he's like, hey, I'm trying to help my son get a job somewhere, and I think he'd be a big help for you with your computers and stuff, trying to get the business started. So, got a job there. I was kind of like a gopher starting out. I just did whatever they needed me to do. So there wasn't like an official title. I just worked there. It was almost like I was an intern, but it was a job.
Yeah. Right.
So then I started to develop into more of this like technician role there. And, I would run the soundboard for, I'd run the board for radio shows, for sports broadcasts. So I was the guy behind the board. And then every now and again, they'd have me on a couple shows. So yeah, that was my first job. Great job. And it's the only thing I had going for me professionally on my resume. So when I was applying for the internship at ServisFirst, I had a tech background somewhat. That's a little original. Most people don't get their start in radio. So I had a tech background. Without that, I don't think they would have given me a shot. So thankfully I had that. But yeah, just did radio broadcasts, did radio shows, ran the board, got to meet recording artists. They had a recording studio in the back, which didn't get used like a whole lot during my time there. But yeah, it was really cool, just learning a lot. And then they would let me every now and again, I got close with this guy named Jerry he was around there. He did different, jobs for the station. And, yeah, I got to be good buddies with him. And then he'd let me come on his country music show. And then one time, I just brought Andon. I was like, can I bring one of my friends? He's like, yeah, bring him on. And Andon learned a lot about where I grew up that day.
To say the least.
He learned a lot. To say
the least, bro.
He learned a lot.
No, I remember that. I can vividly remember that day.
Core memory.
Yeah. At least with me and you, yeah, with our relationship, most definitely.
Yeah, made it.
Trying to think of what else. With that, yeah, shout out Jerry Wolf. You said Jerry Moon and Jerry
Wolf. Jerry Moon and Jerry Wolf. Not double Jerry.
Moon. Sorry, Kevin no double Moon, Jerry's.
Wolf. Shout out.
Kevin Moon and Jerry Wolf. Those guys. Shout out to both of those guys. Both those young men.
They were both pretty involved in my life growing up. So I got to give them a shout out. Whether I got the good and the bad from both of them. They both made me who I am, a lot. They've had a lot of influence. So shout out to both those guys. They were always good to me.
Yeah, bro. I didn't know that was like the only thing you had tech-wise on your resume before you applied.
That was it. That was it, man.
That's crazy, bro.
I had that radio station job. And that was it.
You did a little bit with that theater, right?
Yeah, but that was involved with the radio station. And
it was all the same.
That was a big selling point of mine in interviews and stuff. I was like, I worked for a radio station, radio, all this stuff. And then they also bought a local theater that they tried to revive. I configured basically the whole theater. Like they bought the property and they had all this old sound equipment, set up in there. I got the board ready. I brought the production. I edited the films like to have advertisements in at the beginning. I ran the screen, I did the whole production. So like I had that did help a lot. That was a big project of theirs that really helped me get kind of, like I know what I'm doing in some things. But yeah.
And you've always been such a multifaceted, I would say a modern day Renaissance man, in a lot of ways with technology and stuff like that. Where does that passion and drive come from?
Yeah, man, I don't know because I'm a dummy, but I can figure some stuff out every now and again. I love to create. It depends on the medium, but I love to create things. I love to make them really nice. I love to show them to people. So, I had a little YouTube channel growing up as a kid. I do it like every now and again. I upload like every 4 months or something. I just don't have time for it.
One video low-key blew up.
Yeah, one of them low-key did. And yeah, so that as a core, that I have that same mindset for all other little projects I work on, but I like to take something, create it, make it really nice for what I think is good, and then put it out for people to see. And I just love showing it to people. So it's the same way I felt when I started that theater up. I wanted people to love the theater. When I got involved doing the YouTube, I wanted people to watch videos and think that they were funny and like them. I would do social media for the Drumline in high school, and they didn't really have one. So I started like posting videos on YouTube and making an Instagram page. And I wanted people to see them get to play and like, see all the work they put in. This podcast, you brought me in, and like I immediately was just excited to like make logos that look good and come up with a cool intro and stuff. So I just really like creating. And the digital format has just been the most expressive for me to do that in. So that's the tech. The tech has just become a necessity for me to create the way I want to create digitally, I think is the best way I know how to put it, I guess. But
you got some crazy credentials when you really think about it in the grand scheme of things. I guess it's a lot in a good way.
And then I think that, and then with tech, man, I learn more every day, and I realize how much I don't know. Like, yeah, I've got all this background, and then I do something new every day, and I'm like, there's just always more to learn, and there's always ever going to be more to learn. So I love that about the field in general too. It's just super dynamic, and there's always a chance for somebody to learn and get their shot somewhere. So
yeah, why do you think you've been a lifelong learner?
I don't know. Some of that comes from my childhood environment. You have to be. But really, just coming up as a kid, I wasn't ever really good at anything. My stepdad had a karate dojo growing up. I did that all my childhood years until I was a preteen, and I wasn't ever really good at that. I was doing football. I wasn't ever really good at that. And everything else, I was good at school, but I wasn't the best, like I would get A's, but I'd never be top of class or anything. So I was never just really good at anything. And then coming up into marching band, I think I found something I was good at, and I had to work at it. So I had to learn and learn and learn. And that just from that point on, just stuck with me about everything of like, if I want to be good at something, I'm never naturally super talented at it. But if I have enough talent, then I just dive in full with the learning and trying to grow. And I'm really grateful for that God's given me that, because it's helped me, get my job. Like internship, I didn't know anything. If I hadn't spent that whole season of that whole year basically being an intern, learning, messing up, making mistakes, which I still do, but messing up, making mistakes, learning and committing that to memory, I never would have, retained what I needed to leverage that for a full-time position there. So yeah, I think it probably comes from somewhere in my early years where I just started to develop that muscle, and it's stayed with me, and I need it.
Yeah. And one thing I think from what you said of just like growing up, right? Like being someone that had a lot of change always happening in his life, but still being consistent in a lot of like major areas of your life, you realize like if you can be consistent, but if you don't adapt, if you don't change, what's the point? Like, how are you supposed to grow and learn and get better?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, man, I think that's a part of like every young person's life of like, hey, like I might even be good at this one thing, but I don't like doing it. Like, I don't feel like I don't have a passion for it anymore. Or like, man, I know I got to do the school thing, but it sucks, but I know I have to get it done.
Yep.
Like, it's just a part of life that whether, you learn later in life or you learn pretty early in life, like regardless of how consistent you are doing something, if you don't change, if you don't adapt, have an adaptability, kind of what's it called? Elasticity about you and doing things and learning. You'll learn that it's futile, like it.
Yeah.
Major change won't happen and you won't really get good at something if you don't do that.
Yep.
And, adapt. I'm trying to think of what else I was about to say something crazy, and then I literally forgot. I know it was a great question.
You'll find it.
No, yeah, I'm finding it. Man, I'll say this one thing. One thing that I definitely noticed about you, is just how like constant you've been, like I already said consistency, but definitely like your constants in life and just how you've been, especially with other people. I definitely see you're introverted more. You're more introverted, but you're definitely still outgoing. How has it been? Because you had a dad that was basically a youth pastor, and then, goes through a divorce, kind of changes his whole life around, but still wants to be in your life, but you stay your mom's because that's the way it goes. Parents get divorced, dad gets an apartment, and mom moves in Mom stays at the house with all the kids.
That's
That's right, bro. That's a tale as old as time, bro. But with you and like having that, maybe even having some resentment towards God, having a dad that's really, and I'm, like I said, me, same story, having a dad that's really, really involved in your faith, in this faith, but not seeing him as much, having more of a complicated relationship with your father,
Yeah.
What was that like once you did come to the faith? Like, how difficult was it because you gave your life to Christ, right? Like, you gave your life to Christ, but very educated, or so we thought, knew a lot about everything, but didn't know anything.
Absolutely.
How was it to like grow your faith and you really trust in Jesus when like a lot of things don't make sense? And that's the whole importance of faith, is like believing in things that are unseen, like that whole fact of like, God, this doesn't make any sense in my head right now, but I'm still going to trust you. Like, what was that like for you?
Difficult, man. Difficult. And growing up, my dad was planting these roots, man. And because he knew that he only saw me marginally, right? And I won't sit here and bash my mom, because that's not true. My mom, as a mom can be, was a great mom. But they had like a Baptist church that they would go to, but we didn't go like absolutely every Sunday. And that was just part of, honestly, I'm not sure why, but we would go occasionally. But even when we did, it was a small Southern Baptist church. It was hard to learn. It was hard to learn and understand. It was just more routine religion for me. So I had that at my mom's place. And then my dad was always trying to force these roots, like get them planted in me. Because he wanted me to really just dive into my Christianity as an older man, or as a young man growing up. So he planted those roots aggressively, and I did not like it as a kid. Resented it even, and it's just
it doesn't help when you don't see him that often.
Yeah. So when you do see him, you're getting that, and
you're like,
didn't understand it. Honestly, kind of hated it. Made no sense, and it just felt like it's being forced down my throat. So I would learn things, because if you lock someone in a room and teach them calculus for 30 days, and they're going to pick up a couple things, right? They're going to remember what you say on a lot of things. They're going to learn how to do a couple things, but they won't like it. They won't understand it fully. They won't know why they need to know it. They'll just pick up on some of it. That was kind of me moving up. So I would know some things, I knew parts of the Bible well. And so, yeah, I would have that. And then you're saying, how difficult was it to grow? And to that, I would reply, I don't have the gift of great faith. Like, I'll just be honest, man. I don't. I know people that are like that their faith is on 10 all the time. It's not me. I work hard every day to have my faith. It's not a magical belief for me, man. It's work, and I have to pursue God daily. And when I don't, I start to have doubts, and they creep in. But my faith isn't built on just blind commitment. And I wish it was, because that's the better way to do it. I'm not saying that, but I'm not there. I had to go and investigate Christ, man. I had to look into why it makes sense, why it's the most evident out of other religions. What's the fruit look like from it? What are the lives of people who've actually pursued this? What does that look like? Does this make sense? Is this something I should pursue? And then what comes last is, why do I need it? That's what people always figure out. And then they decide to, pursue Christ really. So, yeah, man, trying to grow my faith with those kind of roots, it's difficult. I'm choosing God every day. It's a choice every day. I can always turn my back on, there are things that I've seen and been through that, like, I'm always going to know were God. But at the same time, at any point I can turn away and just go live in my flesh how I want to live, and just be a man who's trying to make the most of this world and satisfy himself. I could go do that any day. And I'm choosing not to every day. I'm choosing God every day. That's faith for me. And it's difficult. But yeah, growing in that is hard, but we have a good, merciful God. He helps me get through it. And he's given me all the tools. He's given me great parents, great relationships. as society as a whole, all his evidence is already there, more than enough. So yeah, he's given me more than enough to know, but it's definitely difficult for sure.
Yeah, can you go, because I know you talked about it in smaller groups, but if you don't mind, could you go in depth, like what were the things that you did to like basically investigate Jesus and the gospel and the Bible? Like, what did you do?
So first, so I said the last part that comes before really pursuing God is, why do I need it? And then there's triggers to that early in your life, or earlier. So I'll give like a brief like chain of events here. When I was coming out, when I was graduating high school, I got in a relationship that was like really eye-opening to me. And it wasn't on that other person's character at all. It opened up my character to me. I saw things in me I did not like. And up to that point, I was a little arrogant and egotistical. I just started getting good at Drumline. I was a leader there. I was doing well at my radio job. I was learning things quickly. I was doing all right in school. I had a lot of confidence about me and completely insecure at the same time. So just this egotistical, I guess is the way I'd say it. Like, I'm so insecure that like I have to tell myself that, I'm successful or whatever, however you're going to say it. Yeah. And, so exposing my character in that relationship, it's probably God opening my eyes. And I just saw like, I don't like the way that I am. So that's the first trigger. I took note of that. Didn't find God yet. Didn't go to God yet. And keep in mind, I had all these roots of God. I've been to church. I've been to church at Highlands growing up. So, I had all this exposure. So moving up, I went to college, man. And it was really freshman year of college that was where I learned that like I'm lacking something. I'm broken and empty. Freshman year of college, I get there and I'm meeting new people and like that stuff's going well-ish, but it's really only the Drumline. Outside of that, I'm not making friends. I'm not making connections. I'm going to my in-person classes. I'm all by myself. My roommate, who was supposed to come to UAB with me, decided not to right before classes start, so I was alone. So yeah, I just went through this trial of loneliness and difficulty with these classes. Hated college, was getting like D's in some classes, and it just wrecked me. I had never felt so alone in my life. And my parents were a 30-minute drive away from my dad's place. So just felt so utterly alone. And that was when I really realized I was lacking something. And then I was going to this accountability group. Not saved, not knowing God, but giving off the facade like I was. So, I was not being truthful, not being honest. I was not being vulnerable. So I wasn't getting a whole lot out of the group other than just being committed to something. Like I was going every week. There was something I'd get there that I just knew that like is the only real jolt of the Holy Spirit, interacting with me. So I kept going and kept going. And then after I just realized I was missing something and I didn't know what I was doing on this earth, man. I didn't. And as close as you can be without being suicidal, I never thought about suicide. I was never going to commit it. But as far as you can think of yourself like nothing matters and like nothing, think about life as nothing matters, I was definitely there mentally. I was never going to act on it. And in some ways that's more embarrassing, but I thought that a little, not a little, I thought that for sure. Yes. So coming out of that, still going to group, man, I just knew I needed something better. So I started trying to find that something. And that's where I started looking into, what does the walk with God look like? Who's Jesus, like really? So I started reading the Bible. I started watching people debate Christian apologetics, and I wanted to see Christians defend it. And I wanted to see the claims other people had against them. So I started watching Christian apologetics. I started attempting prayer, seeing what I could get out of that. So I started all these things, and I didn't know really what I was doing, but I know I was just looking for something, just looking. And the way that the Christian apologists would lay out the evidence, first got me understanding why it makes sense historically and evidently. Like what evidence is there that points to this? And there's so much more that points to Jesus than other religions. And I would watch like very good, I don't know what the word debaters. Anyway, other atheists and people of other religions come against these Christian apologists. And this could be your average Christian, man. And they would just stand on business with God, bro. Like, you can't shake them. And I kind of wanted that a little bit. But anyway, they would make some really good arguments, and I would fact check them. And the evidence is there. The historical accuracy is there. So that's the first layer. And then the second layer was just their fruit, man. The fruit of their life. They don't have it figured out. You know, they're struggling too. They're struggling almost the same as I am. But they have a different kind of hope, a different kind of light. You know, at least they're grounded in something. I'm not grounded in anything. So I saw their fruit, man. I was like, I need something like that. I wasn't sure if it was Christianity yet, but I was like, they've got it. So all this is just building up in me. And I was almost like Jordan Peterson. Like I was trying to be a Christian, you know, like live that way, think that way, but I wasn't really claiming it. Shout out Jordan Peterson. I hope you just own up to it one day, man.
But, I thought he did.
He did, but not really.
Like not with really. Russell Brand.
Yeah, but not really. He still won't like straight up with his mouth claim the deity of Jesus, dude. I'm like, you got to do that. But
his daughter did, didn't she?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, I might be tripping.
She might have. I'm a little out on that right now. But he's one of the guys I used to watch talk about it. And if you're ever considering Christianity, you need to watch a Christian talk about Christianity and not people who are Christian curious, because you're already Christian curious. So they're just saying the same things that you're thinking, basically.
Right.
So all this stuff was building up, and it came up to this climax. I remember the night. I know you didn't super ask for testimony, but I'm just kind of giving it right now.
I wanted it. I was going to get to it, but I love this route we're going.
Yeah. So all this is building up, man. And I'd been in group for a while. Definitely was not leading it. This is a while before that. So I'd been in group, still in college. So this is all building up, and I go get invited to this movie that was coming out. That was like a documentary, basically, that like just kind of shows what these Christians were doing. Now this is coming out in a theater, but this is a documentary like showing what Christians were doing in their ministry. And these were like some Pentecostal people, you know, like going around and just trying to heal people in Jesus' name and share the Holy Spirit and just try to share the love of God, dude. Honestly, it's what these guys were doing. So we go to watch this movie, and I'm with my parents, I'm with my sister, and I'm with a few people from my group and their friends. So I am with some God-fearing, Holy Spirit-driven people all around me. And keep in mind, I don't have the Holy Spirit right now. I'm just a dude. So I go to this movie and I watch this movie and I get exposed to all this. And, you know, as you can probably pick up, not believing a whole lot of it. Like they're showing all this healing and whatever and sharing this good news. And like, you know, I'm just like, whatever, you know, it's good that they're doing that, but it's, you know, they're kind of exaggerating that a little bit. And there's still always going to be mixed feelings about that stuff even now. But that's not the part that really affected me, was watching that movie. You know, I was picking up on it and it was poking at me a little bit, but that didn't do it. So we come up to the end of the movie. And at this point, everything I'm saying to you, I can see now. I couldn't see any of it then. So if you asked me then, I couldn't say I'm pursuing God and I'm trying to find out more about him. I was doing that out of like lacking something, like naturally. So I couldn't have told you I was doing that, but I can see it now. So going through that movie, man, after the movie concludes, and they had it in their mind before we went, they told me they were going to do this, but they were going to try to see if anybody needed some prayer or just like, you know, just some outreach, you know, something at the end of the movie. So we go and they start doing that, man. And the movie ends, people just break out into prayer. They start like putting hands on people and just like, nothing crazy, but they're like at least telling them like praying for them, praying blessings over people. And they all did that around me. And here I am going to a Christian accountability group, watching a Christian movie, reading my Bible occasionally, thinking I know who God is.
Yeah.
I don't.
Right.
And someone comes to pray for me, and my whole identity just broke right there in that moment. Someone's praying for me, like the movie ended and I'm just sitting there like, I don't know what to do. Everybody else is praying and I'm just sitting there kind of with my head down a little bit. And then this lady comes up and starts praying for me. She's like, hey, can I pray for you? I'd like to pray for you. And I could tell she saw me, and I was a little offended.
She saw right through you.
Yeah, she did. I was a little offended at first. I was like, oh, you don't need to pray for me.
I can't.
You see who I came with? I'm good. And then she starts praying for me. My whole identity, man, just broke. Boom. And blew it wide open. And I just was like, who am I to have this woman pray over me? Like I didn't even know I needed this. Didn't make any sense to me. And it messed me up so bad, man. So she gets done praying for me, and then everybody wraps it up, and I'm just like shaking, I'm not talking, whatever. And I'm a little distant. So we go home. And I drove there. This is important. I drove there, and I drive back to my house, and my parents always drive really slow. So I was home alone for a second. Yes, I know they drive really slow. So I'm at home, and I'm in the basement driveway in my car. No one else is even at the house. And I'm in that basement driveway in my car by myself. Right there, dude, I had an encounter with the Lord, man. And it wasn't blinding light out of the sun and I fell off my donkey. You know what I mean? I surrendered right there. I heard nothing. I heard nothing. I felt nothing. I just pulled up in the driveway and I just felt all messed up. My identity had just been broken, although I didn't know it yet. And I was just freaking out, man. And right there, dude, I was like, just started talking to God, brother. And I didn't even know he was fully there. Just started talking to God and telling him how much I wanted to know him and I wanted to pursue this. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know that I need something and I believe it's you. And just probably sat there in his presence and then that interaction, and was there for a good 25 minutes probably, man, like crying. I didn't know what was going on. And the reason I share it this way is because I want people to know not everyone has encounters with God that are blinding by the sun, falling off the donkey. I just talked to a guy in my in group last week who he had a true encounter with the Lord. I didn't have, in the physical, kind of it's different for everyone. You can know God without it being this fairy tale encounter or without it being an audible voice. He's present in every form of life, and it can happen in any way that it needs to. So for me, it came from me first saying, hey, I need you, man. I need this. And so I just wanted to tell people that it's different for everyone. I didn't see or hear anything audible, man. It was just full surrender and his presence, man, through his spirit. That was the encounter I had. So after that, I go inside the house. My parents are home at this point, and I remember just talking to them, dude. And I basically told them, I was like, is something wrong with me because I'm not able to do what you guys were doing there? Something wrong. And I won't get into it specifically, but for the next hour, they basically just poured into me, man, and assured me that, I don't think they really knew what kind of moment I just had. And I don't think that they thought I wasn't exactly saved, but they could definitely tell that I started living for God 100% from that moment on. But for me, I got saved that night. I knew God from that point on. And didn't before, which is what I don't think they fully understand. So,
do they know now?
Yeah, they know now. Yeah, they know now for sure. And going through that, them just lifting me up after that moment. From then on, man, I tried to live for Christ. From then on, reading my Bible became something that needed to be a part of my life, and I understood it needed to be a part of my life instead of just a chore or something I was doing because I kind of wanted to know a little I just started converting my life over to living like a man of God, doing things I need to do, not trying not to do things I'm not supposed to do. And that was where my walk started. So I think that's 2023, early 2023.
Wow. I didn't know it was that recent.
Yeah, because that was sophomore year of college. So going right into sophomore year of college was when I actually started to live for Christ. All that before then, man, like I told you, I own it now because I was a different guy. It was all facade, man. I didn't know God. I just was around godly people. Didn't know, I didn't have what everyone else had. I just was putting on the mask and going through the motions and not understanding any of it. So all that time, throughout, there's little interactions in between bits and pieces of my life that like I know the Holy Spirit now, didn't know it then. So yeah, living a completely different life, was not a Christian man at all, had nothing to do with God until the beginning of 2023. And it feels like it's been 10 years since I've been doing it. And it's really only been like close to 3. So I'm a different guy, man. That's all I know how to say it.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I went to therapy this morning, and that's exactly what, my therapist was trying to kind of reiterate to me. As Christian therapist, I recommend counseling to anyone, but preferably Christian counseling or Christian therapy.
Of course.
Or Christian therapist, I could say. But that's what he was telling me. He's like, man, he's like, I see you as a man of God, but you don't. Like, you're not operating in being like, he's like, you are. Like you do all these things. He's like, I love your heart and the way that you operate and you act and all things you want to do and your ambitions. But he's like, you don't believe in yourself. Like, you don't see yourself the way other people see you. You don't believe that. You just think you're a Christian that's trying, when like, you got to be thinking that you're a man of God. That's I'm doing everything, even when I screw up, because I screw up a lot, that I'm not going to do these things anymore just because I'm a Christian, not just because I gave my life to Christ, but I'm a man of God. Like, father of Christ is great. I think that's what we need to be, bare minimum. Like, we are men and women of God, and that's the way we need to see ourselves, because that even calls us to a higher standard.
Man, that's good.
Like, follower of Christ is exactly what we're called to be. But if you're a man of something, like son of man, right? Like Jesus' name. That means he's a son of all people. He's Christ. He's the Messiah. But every single person can relate and believe in him. That's why he's called the Son of Man, because he's a son of all. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Right? We're sons of God. Right? We're men of God. We had the Son of God, and because we are now, his Spirit's living on the inside of us, we are now sons of God. We are men of God. It's like, it's just a identity that I need to be more aware of myself of, that I already have, but I need to claim and speak life in his life over my life, because I need it. And without it, I may be a follower of Christ, but am I following all the ways that I need to? Heck no. So that's something I've even had to work on the past few months, bro. Like,
no, me
I know
too,
I made so
man.
much progress this year, but this past year made so much progress. But like, it's funny, like, it's so crazy, these interactions that I have, because like, bro, I was at prayer today. Not a flex. Like, it's been a blessing to like get consistently going back to prayer.
Oh, that's awesome.
I literally,
man.
like, I've been going to Grandview, even though like Graceland's my campus. I guess still like going to Grandview. So I go to Grandview for prayer. And Caleb, one of the pastors there, we literally got a conversation. I don't know why. I was like, I'm not going to leave yet. Like, I'm going to text some people on my phone. TBH, bro. I like deleted some messages and stuff like off my phone for people I shouldn't be texting just at this point in my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
Literally after that happened, and I told Ethan the things that I should have been doing that I was doing, literally Caleb came up to me. He's like, and I did not come up to him, bro. Like, I was literally about to leave. Like, I was in the back. Like, I would walk around and I pace around during prayer. But when like I'm in my spot, I'm in the very back of the freaking auditorium. The auditorium's massive, bro. Like, it's probably like top 3, maybe top 5 biggest auditoriums that Highlands has. He came up to me and he just like was talking, and it was just kind of funny because like whenever I do something for the Lord, even though it's hard and it sucks, like we're cutting pieces of ourselves off that we don't need so we can be more like Christ. He literally comes up to me right after I do that. And I'm like, okay, God, that's you confirming that even though that sucked, I'm making the right decision. But it was just like, it's all God confirming, right? Like exactly what you said. When I gave, I'll say I did have a miraculous like salvation, but bro, like it took years to really become a Christian. Yeah. And then I got church hurt, which isn't by the church, but by people in the church, because people are people and we're humans and we're imperfect. Absolutely. And we're sinful in nature.
Absolutely.
Affected my trajectory because I allowed it to. So I was lukewarm for 4 years.
Yeah.
And literally just a year ago, I gave my life to Christ. I've always been a Christian since then, but gave my life back to Christ because of my stepdad passing away. And now I'm about to be in ministry school for doing this podcast 6 months ago, starting 6 months and
crazy. And people, your story can't hit people like it hits me in the face, dude, because I've seen it. I've seen it. And that's what I'm talking about. Right. Like I could turn around and walk against my faith today, but that's one of those things that I was talking about earlier. Like I've seen things, bro, that like they're always going to be with me. And,
you can't forget that. And especially when you see it in my life, you're like, earlier, why would I?
What you said earlier, I needed to hear that because like that's men all over the world. Like, you can be following Christ, but like stand up and say you're a man of God. Own that. Make that
hard.
Make that your life. And I needed to hear that. So thank you. I'm sure whoever else, that this reaches needed to hear that too. That's so good, man. Shout out to your therapist.
Yeah, Bree's the man. I got to get him on, bro. Larry Massey, bro. Got to get him on. He's the man. But just, and that's been the greatest thing too. I'll probably reiterate these things a lot in the past few episodes. And probably since we started it, which is just kind of just showing you where I'm at. But just like, dude, mentorship, like real mentorship. Not like, hey, we're going to meet every once in a while. We're talking. It's like, no, hey, like I need to spend time with you because it helps me out so much. And I appreciate it. And I feel like I need people like that in my life. And just how God's been showing up for me in that way. Like, and I mean, you see it in the statistics, bro. Like you see it even in the world, like that even reiterates God's, like just what he's trying to do in young men's life and just young people in general, bro. Like, bro, this is some dude told me this yesterday, and I don't even know if he's a Christian, bro. 50%, Thomas, 50% of 18 to 24-year-olds, women, like females, American women, have OnlyFans. 50? I don't know if it's 50. I think it's probably more around the 0.25% mark, but still 25%. I think it was 25%.
18 to 24.
15 to probably, I think a quarter. I might have misheard him. I think 25% of them, yes, my bad. 25% of them have an OnlyFans. And then my fault, 50% of men 18 to 35 have either have a subscription or have paid a subscription to OnlyFans. Like, and 18 to 35-year-old men are like the most lonely, especially American men, are like the most lonely they've ever been and the most depressed. Like the statistics are real. They back up the fact that we need faith and we need stuff like this. We need Christian clothing brands. We need more people to go do outreach and be missionaries for Christ, whether it's in your neighborhood, whether it's in Birmingham, like in the city that you live in, or whether it's literally across the freaking world or across the nation, across the US. Like, we need it more than ever. We need stuff like this. We got 56 subscribers, bro. Like that in itself, is it a lot? No, but there's 56 people that are listening into this and it impacts them in some way. Yeah. We've had over 1,000 views total. Like it's people are getting this and they're listening to it and it's reaching them. And it's like, this is literally what we need right now. That's why I want to I feel led to start a Christian clothing brand. Like I feel led to my testimony. And like you said, like you could leave the faith tomorrow, but you're like, you see my life and like, somebody's already done that. God's already given you an example, a story of someone that really knew God, that God was still trying to reach out to them, but still went his own way and wanted to live his own life and was successful to a point, to an extent. But everything that the foundation that I had for my life was still built on, it may have been rock, but it was sheetrock, brother. Like it'll hold for a certain amount. Good. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll hold for a certain amount.
That's good.
But it's real, bro. It'll hold for a certain amount, but then you're like, oh, like humans made this and it's not even real. Like it's not even solid.
No.
I made this and it's not even solid. So once my lust and these issues that I have would bear its head, even like I'm still struggling with that in my life right now. Like I'm glad God's on my side now, and that I chose God. He's always been on my side, but I'm glad that I finally chose him because now I'm under his wing.
Right.
That's something like, especially Ethan. Ethan was our first podcast guest, and no one knows when I'm talking about Ethan Moore. Something he reiterates all the time, like you can even be a Christian and you can be someone that believes in God, but like it's a whole different aspect in a relationship once you're under his wing and he actually knows you. Yeah. And it's not that he didn't want to protect you in the past, but you've chosen to come under his wing, right? Like think about the air, think about how massive and wide it is. Even think about eagles, right? How like we're talking about in that passage, we'll soar on wings like eagles. Like God's created everything, but even just coming to the fact of like he can be everywhere one at once, but his wings can cover a multitude of everything, right? Like even how love and grace can cover a multitude of sins. Like if you can even be a Christian, but not be under God's authority, not be under God's anointing.
You can.
So once you decide that, it's a totally different ball game. Even when you're an idiot and you do stupid stuff and you're a 20-year-old kid that thinks that you're a grown man and you're a young man, but you're not a grown man, and you make stupid decisions and you hurt people and you affect people and you're trying your best, but then there's those few nights that you're acting a fool. Like, bro, God's shown me, and he's helped me realize, like, bro, hey, you were about to do something stupid, and I literally made it not happen. You're welcome. Like, you're welcome. Even this week alone, the stupid stuff that I've been doing, like, I think I've just been overwhelmed with going to Highlands College to, bro, like, let me be real, like, self-sabotage is real in my life.
Oh yeah.
And God has still intervened, and it's helped me realize even the past few days how the stupid mistakes that I made, like, dang, like God's really watching out for me. And I don't want to try him again. Like you, bro, you don't want to test
so
God.
Real. That's so real.
I think some Landry,
especially if you're aware, like if you know that he spared you in a moment, you're
don't play with bro. Don't play with God. That's something that me and Landry says all the time. You don't want to play with God, bro.
There's two little things he says
don't play with bro.
That stick with me is don't play with God. And then he says, God speaks twice. I still remember those two things from that podcast episode, man. I love Landry. Shout out Landry.
He's the man. Shout out Landry, bro, for real. All that to say, they're like, man, who's ever watching this, and I hope and pray that like once I step in this new season, I can really like up the ante on this, and that God can anoint it even more, and we can get more people to watch this. Not even get more people, that more people would be willing to watch this and be open to this type of a podcast. And that I could, like you've done, Thomas, like I know when I say this, you wouldn't say that, but even for the viewers, like Thomas has done so much to help this, but like, it's going to be me in my own thing. Like it already was, but it's really going to be my own thing now of like figuring out editing and all these different things, like that I can just do a better job of it. So, and I can do a better job stewarding it, because I won't have a lot of time to steward it, but like that God would just do only what he could do with knowledge and wisdom and anointing in my life that I don't even have. So this can be the best that it can be, because it's for him and his people anyways. And for me to have an outlet for myself, and that we can have people that can get on here and share about their life and their job and their testimony.
I'm excited for you to take this thing and, however far that God's got it planned, man. Cause like, this is going to teach you so much. And not only is it going to bring you up, like you're going to learn about, managing a brand, managing a small business. It's kind of works like a business a little bit, making those relationships, connecting with people, like if this takes off, then you got to learn how to deal with ad revenue and all that stuff. But not only that, you are going to personally give the love of God, the grace of God out to other people, whoever you connect with, whoever you talk to, or not only the guests, the people who are listening are all getting something from this. So like I love to see it, man. I love to see it. And I'm honored to have been a part of it.
Yeah, bro. Of course. And that's one thing I've even getting like more peace as this is going by, of course, because we know each other, but like, I'm really good at talking to people. And I feel like God inclines me to ask questions, especially in this podcast, that are spiritually directed, but also just like gives insight to the guest, like you being the guest today. That just like, whether you know this person or not, or if you ever met this person or not, but they promote it on their social media or not, that you get an insight to their life, how I know them, how I don't know them, and I'm trying to get to know them same as the audience. But I'm blessed, man, and I hope that God can carry this as far as he wants to, and that I'd be willing to do that and for it to grow. And I feel like this is a good into the podcast.
Absolutely, man. It's a bright future.
It's been a blessing to record with you today, bro. I need to spend more time with you outside of this, just because I know we've had really busy schedules, even with me not having a job right now.
Yeah.
I've still been very busy, and man, just love you so much. I hope that the viewers today, I hope you guys can get something out of this and get to know Thomas a little bit better, get to know me a little bit better. And that would help impact your life and help give you a little bit of a positive Christian outlook and bless you today. So thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you listening in today. And thank you, Thomas, for being a guest.
Absolutely.